you ever wish you pursued a different career, or went back to school, or instead took a step back from work and spent more time with family? These negative emotions are known as regrets, and it's completely normal to have these feelings at every stage of life. Regret can be surrounding any action, from work to relationships to big life decisions. Some people may regret breaking up with a partner, while others may regret getting married. There's some who might look back and wish they'd made that big move or followed through with a risky decision. But regrets can also be minor, like falling off a diet or forgetting a friend's birthday.
It's a negative emotion. It's an emotion that causes some amount of pain. And the pain is this stomach churning feeling that we get when we look backward and say, oh, if only I hadn't made that decision. If only I hadn't taken that course. If only I hadn't not done that thing. And it's unpleasant, but it's also instructive.
That's Daniel Pink, an acclaimed American writer based in D.C. He holds a law degree from Yale Law School and worked in politics and economic policy throughout his early career. In the mid-90s, Pink was the chief speechwriter for Vice President Al Gore. Since then, he's worked as a free agent, authoring several books. His latest is The Power of Regret: How Looking Backward Moves Us Forward. For a man who's accomplished so much in life, you'd think he'd have no regrets. But Pink says everyone has something they would change if they could go back.
The only people who don't have regrets are 5-year-olds, people with brain damage, and sociopaths. The rest of us have regrets. It's one of the most common emotions that human beings experience. And it's one of the most common emotions, obviously, then that business people experience. And the reason it's so common is because it's useful if we deal with it right.
But some people explicitly choose not to deal with it. In recent years, there's been a growing philosophy around the mantra of no regrets. Pink says this mindset pushes continuous positivity, and the main idea is to keep moving forward and never look back. While some may embrace this kind of overly positive thinking, Pink says that people can miss out on important life lessons if they pass up the opportunity to confront their previous mistakes.
Regret instructs, regret clarifies, regret points the way. And so a business leader who says, I have no regrets, is also a business leader saying, I don't learn anything. I'm not willing to improve. And that's why it's dangerous. Now, the key here, though, just to be fair, is that when we think about our regrets, we should not ignore them. That leads to delusion. But we shouldn't wallow in them either. We should confront them. And one of the things that bugs me about this no regrets philosophy, particularly in business, is that it is a false display of courage. We think that no regrets is a sign of how courageous we are, and it's not. Courage is staring your regrets in the eye and doing something about them.
One way to do this is by writing or talking about how you're feeling. Try asking yourself, what mistake did I make? Why did I make that decision? What thoughts are going through my head? Pink says that the physical action of writing or talking to someone can help turn abstract emotions into something more concrete. From there, take this experience and turn it into a teaching lesson. Is it possible to fix the situation? If not, how can you learn from this mistake? Was it action or inaction that led you to feel this way? This type of reflection can steer people away from making the same mistake twice. Pink himself wrote down a list of some of his biggest missteps.
When I looked at my mistakes and setbacks and failures, I found that a lot of them, and this might sound odd, but there really wasn't a lesson. It was just like, sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes there's randomness and bad luck and whatever, and that's life. However, there were other ones where the source of the screw up was so clearly me. And there were 2 big mistakes that I kept making over and over and over. And this failure resume, this reckoning with our regret, exposed that. And now I make those 2 mistakes a lot less.
Pink was also curious about how other Americans felt about regret. With the help of a data analytics company, he surveyed almost 4,500 people, asking them a variety of questions.
When I asked Americans the question about regret without using that supercharged word regret, I got some interesting answers. So I asked people, How often do you look back on your life and wish you had done something differently? So I'm describing regret, but I'm not assigning it the R word. We found that 1% of people say they did that never. About 16% say they did it rarely. And 83% of Americans say, yeah, occasionally I do this. And actually, about 40-something percent said they did it a lot. And so this is a very prevalent emotion, regret.
And what are some of the biggest sources of regret for people? Pink got thousands of answers from people across the globe. Many were similar, so he organized them into 4 distinct categories. The first focuses on foundation.
These are people who might have health regrets, like not taking care of their bodies or smoking, but also financial regrets. I didn't save enough money, or even education regrets. I didn't work hard enough in school. Small decisions that somehow compromise the stability of your life. Another big regret were boldness regrets. If only I'd taken the chance. A lot of people regret not asking somebody out on a date or not starting a business or not speaking up. So boldness regrets are if only I'd taken the chance. Moral regrets are if only I'd done the right thing. You're at a juncture in your life, you can do the right thing, you can do the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing. Many of us, not all of us, but a heck of a lot of us regret that. So these are things like bullying, marital infidelity, other kinds of cheating. And then finally, we have connection regrets. This is if only I'd reached out.
Another interesting finding from the U.S. study was that there weren't many differences demographically. The biggest disparity was that regrets tied to what people didn't do increased with age.
When people are young, they tend to have equal numbers of action and inaction regrets. But as people age, inaction regrets take over. And I think it's because we can resolve some action regrets, we can make amends, we can undo them, we can try to derive some sense from them, but inaction regrets gnaw at us for a very long time. And so the more we move on in our lives, the more that what really haunts us are regrets about what we didn't do. We didn't start that business. We didn't become an entrepreneur. We didn't ask that person out on a date. We didn't go on to visit some place that we've always wanted to visit. That's what sticks with us over the long haul.
And there are also actions or inactions that can't be fixed. Pink refers to these as closed-door regrets.
You wronged somebody and that person is gone, you can't undo that. You're stuck with that. What you can do, though, is use that as an engine for guiding your future behavior. You're never going to extinguish that, I don't think. But what you can do is you can take some of that pain and make sure that along with that pain, you're getting instruction. So what did this teach me? What does this tell me what to do next time?
It's important to remember that regret is just another emotion. And a normal part of the human condition. To find out more about this topic and our guest, Daniel Pink, visit viewpointsradio.org. Also, check out his book, The Power of Regret, available online and in bookstores. This segment was written and produced by Amira Zaveri. Studio production by Jason Dickey. I'm Marty Peterson. Coming up next week.
What we need people to really think about is how can they build the skills that they need to maintain their emotional well-being for the long term.
Shifting from reactive care to preventative care in the mental health space. Then,
at this point, I think as prices continue to rise, we have to make more choices of things that we're going to buy, and more often, what are we going to live with a little longer than we might used to.
The financial squeeze of inflation. I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.
And that's Viewpoints for this week. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more about upcoming shows and find a library of past programs on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and more information about our guests at viewpointsradio.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Viewpoints.